As to jump scare us, so it's perfectly fine. Getting the Discord messages out. We're not gonna worry about it actually. We're gonna post in here until the video game until I get yelled at to stop. Cuckoo, cuckoo. We're just going and doing some noises while I figure out which servers I haven't told people, hey, I'm live in yet. That one. Most of those aren't terribly active. Or at least I thought so. Man, I missed some stuff and cuckoo. Welcome to stream. I think that... Oh, there's one. I knew I was going to forget one. Self-promo. Okay, there we go. Hello! Welcome, Caves Wolf. Apologies, it's just getting links started. Welcome to the Southport Zoo. Our goal today is to be finishing up our Viva Pantanal habitat. I don't know if you've been here before, but this is the Southport Zoo. It's just a little entrance I built and was like, we're just going to start swinging it. As you can tell, people really like the new habitat, but our first little entry area is this, a little garden with the American flamingos. Now people can start naming animals with enough viewer watch points, so I'm excited for that. I got a couple of things set up in the last couple of days. But we got plenty of animals. There's like, allegedly in here, there's like 20 flamingos. I see about 8 of them here, so they're all probably inside knowing how it goes. But this is the section we're hopefully finishing up today, Viva Pantanal. I like to just do these little recaps at the start just so we can get that guess eye perspective. And it also lets me go, okay, I need to fix this. We got a little reptile house here, which people are excited to see. Got a couple of habitat species. This is kind of just a very simple building. I like the idea that it was mostly just built as a shell for these habitats. Oh, I forgot to turn that one on. Alright, because this is a habitat education board. I can just... We'll just yoink that. This is the reptile house. It's either your starting or ending location, depending on how much you want to deal with the heat. But our first habitat for Viva Pantanal, as I like to consider it, is the giant otters. They remain our most popular animals in the zoo. I think we're coming just in time to see the zookeeper refill their enrichment. Oh. And he just walks around in the mud. Okay. He's chomping on a fish. But yeah, so this is the little giant otter habitat. I decided to go with something a little less traditional when it came to giant otters in the South American sections, because underwater viewing galleries tend to be some of the favored designs. But this one I was like trying to theme around the concept of the Pantanal, which has the ability to flood. So the exhibit design is that, hey, there can be times when you're walking around the border here that you have flooding happen. But going this way, you go up the path. There's a little visitor viewing staff section here. Hides the guest house. And I'm going to probably tweak that up a little bit just so it's not so distracting. The inevitable goal is that we're going to make a fake pampas over here to kind of fill up this space. Because you come around this little bend and you come up on the largest body of water in the zoo so far. And you can't really... Admittedly, I should have put the otters in here in hindsight. And I may still do that. But this home is habitat to a variety of spectacled caiman. Somewhere. Oh, wait. If you look all the way out here, there's Anna, one of our spectacled caiman. I put like the max 8 in this habitat just because I could. But as you come around here, with which will eventually be like pampas or just foliage coverage, so you don't just see the empty entrance and the guest buildings I haven't built yet. You'll come over here to this lovely habitat, which is the maned wolves. Now, there's only 2 of them because that's what their social requirements have. And like maned wolf habitats in real life, 9 times out of 10 they're doing something where you can't see them. But whoop, and there he goes. They make for some of the more fun, larger animals here on the path so far. And you make your way this way, and the grasslands bleed more into what's going to be a tropical rainforest vibe, hopefully. And we get our other fun aquatic little animals here. The bush dogs. If there were binocular stands, I would have put them up for these guys. There's not. I wish there were. Or if there is, I don't know where they're at. There's about 8 or so bush dogs. I may lower these rocks for better sight lines. I'll tweak that. There may be some final tweaks I do off screen. But what we're going to do today is this side of Viva Pantanal. Because if you can't see the bush dogs, because I know they're so small, this will be the underwater viewing for when the jaguars go splashing around. But if you want to see the bush dogs a little more up close, I built this so that people can come up and be like, oh, look, here's these adorable little dog guys. The short-legged puppy fellas. We love them. Yes. Oh, is there an ad? Okay, I apologize. I don't... I turned it on. I'm still trying to figure out how it works. But yes, we're gonna stay hanging out here for a second. Hello, Foxy Bro. Welcome to chat. Welcome to stream. Just going through some of the previous habitats we've built on stream real quick before we start building for what might be the most iconic animal for our South American section, which is going to be, as you can see by the statue over here, the jaguar. So that's the goal today, is we're going to build the jaguar habitat, and we're going to try to get it done. Like I said, I did a little bit of pre-building because I was trying to figure out water. What I may do as well is build a small little like pseudo stream for them to drink from, and then have a waterfall element tie in so all the waterways look like they're connected even though they're not. But if we get this guy done fast, which I don't expect to, but if we somehow get him done really quick, then we go to the technically most species prolific habitat for the South America section, which will be over here. And this will be for tapirs, the Brazilian tapirs, because we don't have, I think, the brown ones that are native to the Pantanal. No, we have Barids. We need the common. But I'd also have capybara and giant anteaters, because they all have species cross enrichment, and I'm particularly one of the inspirations for this habitat and exhibit area was a exhibit for the Pantanal in I think the Houston Zoo. I saw some videos of, and they have this massive cross species exhibit enrichment where you have tapir, giant anteater, common rheas, capybaras, 4 different other species of birds in this massive, like, huge paddock. And I'm like, that's really cool. I'm going to do 3 because I think that's a little overkill. But yeah, so the goal for this zoo in total is that we're going to have, like, assuming my computer doesn't immediately hate me, is that we're going to finish this up and we're going to start building for these other sections. And like, I'll foliage this up and make it look nice. So this one was going to be a smaller Asian section, but with the new Asia Animal Pack coming out, this is probably going to get some changes. Namely, I think this Japanese part is going to become much larger. And we're going to bump the Asian part, the Indian part out, and still do a Himalayan section at the end. And because we did wetlands, I'm hoping for this to just be kind of a smattering of them. I'm thinking this section in particular over here is going to become like a little Yellowstone. So you'd have like a, staff path into a small set of buildings and the different habitats on the inside for like the predators, and you have some on the outside for like American bison and pronghorn and moose and other things. And then this one I'd like to devote for, I'm thinking an African section. My goal is that I'm not just going like, oh, this is Africa, oh, this is Asia, oh, this is this. It is, hey, you come to the zoo and you can visit little regional pockets of the world that are specifically these regions. So I'm trying to find, like, I don't know if I want to do, like, the Congo, like, specifically base something off the Congo rainforest or certain ecosystems, because with, like, the Arid Animal Pack, we could do something really interesting, and give a distinct feeling from, like, the Viva Pantanal, who is a very tropical. But we'll see as that goes on. We are doing so Planet Zoo has, as far as I know, just one jaguar. Yeah, they've just got the one jaguar. They do have an ocelot, and I contemplated doing the ocelot, but I figured we needed, like, I love all of these animals here, but we needed, like, the iconic South America rep, and there's no more iconic South America rep than the jaguar. You guys keep on telling me my tickets are underpriced, but then I'm going to adjust them. You're not going to be happy. Let's see. So one of the fun things I like to try to do for these zoos is build custom barriers. So the idea is, like, around here where there's going to be a visitor path, I'm probably going to build a small thing over this and make it more of a building set off. Also, just to give some shade, because if you haven't noticed, I picked a grassland biome. It's 91 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a little hot. Okay, so this is where we would want it, roughly. And that's just to start the building plan off. We're going to look for an actual... Let's see, I think there's a South American theme. And it's a bit more... It's got temple, ruins, and bamboo. So I think for this side... And we'll play with the height adjustment there. It's a little cheesy, but you know what? We're allowed to have a little cheese with our... We're allowed to be a little cheesy, you know what I mean? And here what we'll do is we'll just... Since we're in creative, I have breakouts turned off anyway, but this just allows us to, like... You know... Get a little more funky with it.
ZZZZ.
Hi, Clementine. I hope you're having a good nap. Oh, by the way, if you're not familiar, for our new time folks, welcome in the chat. If you hear a weird AI bot, that is Clementine. Clementine is here mostly for your amusement, but also partially all of ours. Let's see. This is where it's like I kind of wish I'd... You know what? I can fix that. It's not hard to fix that. I'm sitting here like, man, I wish I built this more on a right angle, or... I can just go... I'm not that far in the construction. I can just remove the water. Here, let's see if we can move this more in line with the building. And then we raise the barriers. It's a little much. I really just didn't set myself up for success with this one, did I? Here. Okay. Then we're just gonna move this back a bit. But you know, it is what it is. We make these adjustments. Oh, Leopard. Yeah, no, you're good. Um, I have thought to play Jurassic World Evolution and Jurassic World Evolution 2. I'm looking forward to the new one. Yes, it is a stone wall on top of glass. Sorry, catching up on chat real quick. Um, I have, I have in the past. I tend to do them on casual game Thursdays when I'm looking for some. Like the game's a little simpler than what I do for Planet Zoo. Like this Planet Zoo, especially on Sundays, are like, okay, here's a day where I can go and be a little more. Ah, you're doing the thing with the barrier. Hold on. I've had this happen before where the terrain's like, we have a barrier here. We can't build here. Well, too bad. We're going to build here. And I'm going to smooth this barrier terrain out. Okay, maybe it's the length of the path. No, the length's 1. Okay. There we go. But what we'll do is we'll build the facade being outside. Duplicate. Please, thank you. Oh, you're doing the thing again because I've... Oop. But yeah, so I've done Jurassic World Evolution. I've done it several times. I would almost say that when it comes to dinosaurs versus zoo animals, it's always been a close fight. In terms of attention and appreciation, but I've done both in the past. Oh, got a boy, got a bot there. Whoopsie doodle. But for the most part, the Planet Zoo stuff here is just for funsies. This is just a hey, we're here. Oh, you're doing the align to surface thing. That's what it is. And then grid height I need to lower. That's what it is. Yeah, let's undo that. And then what we'll do for this section of it we will do this temple wall piece here. And we will hide these ruins as the illusion of better foundational structures, because physics don't, technically speaking, exist in this game. And even if they did, I could just go down with... I know there's some paneling for these guys. There's always like a weird floating paneling for these guys. Align to surface. There we go. This makes it look more like an entryway. But we can put another big old brick ruin on top of that and be like, you know, crumbling temple, ancient pieces long since forgotten. Even though this is, you know, a modern zoo. And that hides that blemish really well. And we just gotta... Oh, that's not what I want to do. Whoopsies. But the cool point of this was that we want to give the guests both more shaded viewing spaces around this trail, because admittedly it is, you know, this is a little funky. Can we do an... Ah, yes. Advanced duplicate. No, that's just advanced move. And then that gives us something to hide the weird section under. Well, making the underwater viewing gallery and that just a little more. Rotate. That is the wrong button. Makes it a little more interesting, visually speaking. So one of the fun parts about this that I've never actually told to any of my friends in real life is that I look at the stuff when I go to like a real zoo. Like, okay, so what's the theming like? Okay, what does it look like from the animal's perspective versus what does it look like if you're a visitor looking at it from this point of view? I don't talk about it a whole lot because I usually just start info dumping about animals as soon as I get there because I'm a nerd. Okay, and then we'll just grab it. Here, and we will duplicate this. So I should get a mod, but you know, there's a lot of things I should get, like, you know, like little rewards for folks, and I should get like custom tokens and avatars. In fact, here, let me see if we can send the new emoji I submitted, or if it's still under review. Yeah, it's still under review. But yes. Let's see, I'm looking for... That's a wall piece. Hoping for like a longer one of that. Oh, this is perfect. I might be wondering, what am I using this for? No, I don't want to duplicate in advance. So this is the thing, I get them flipped, those things flipped up all the time. But we're going to rotate. Make sure it's straight. And we're going to do this. And we're going to do this. And we're going to make it even with the outside entry point, just because we want people to see it. That's right. It's now going to be part of this, because why not? Okay, so roof and floors. Let's see what we can get. So we got, just for the stone temple, you have the wall floors, which are also simultaneously the ceilings. And we'll do something visually interesting for it. Probably have the wall decoration pieces. I'm glad just so many of these are reversible. Maybe it'll just be like bada boom. Bada bam. And then it's not going to be the prettiest thing on planet Earth, but you know what? We're not worried about the prettiest thing, because if we did, I'd be nitpicking 2 exhibits ago still on stream, and at that point, no one would be having a good time. And at this point, no one's looking at the inner hole of the roof. But it does make it look more visually interesting. Okay, so now that I got that built, we're going to move. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move. Right, I need to turn the align to surface off. And that that should help. No, that didn't help. I may just have to delete this one. The other idea was that it hid that well, and it's not doing so great. But it gets it out of here. We'll put up some signage and get things working. I do apologize. I think that's fair enough, Wolf. We're gonna fix. I think what we're also going to do while we're here And we'll reterrain this as we go. Actually, let me see if I can get some stuff. We're gonna close this because it's probably eating up background information. We'll Discord for the time being. There is a chart somewhere for how much deep dive space animals need. Let's see if I can find Planet Zoo deep dive chart. So deep dive chart I've got pulled up. So a jaguar, if it's going to deep dive, needs 4-meter depth water. Okay. So we need to... Which means there's going to be a deep diving section that they'll be able to see it potentially go down into, but... Here, there's an easy way to figure this out. We need a 4-meter tall pole. Okay, this might need to be a bit deeper. Might make this a little deeper, might make this a little bigger. We're going to raise this up, and then we're going to make this panel from glass. Now this, I don't want move, just move please. This should be about deep enough. What we're gonna do, smooth out these holes there, because we don't need holes in random spots for the jaguars to get stuck in. But we want it deep enough where there's good interactions with the habitat. And I'm going to flatten the terrace because I want to be able to go flatten the foundation. Oh, I know what's happening. My brain's not working there. It helps if we actually click on the flatten the foundation. Nope. Okay. Not in the building, please. It makes it harder to see what the hell I'm doing. And we're just going to smooth tool this out so there's a area for them to get in and out of the water with. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the rock rough, paint all of this rough rock terrain which indicate the swimming area. And then we're going to do calm water. Could be a bit deeper, but you know what? It's fine. We're going to have one jaguar in here anyway, so if he's upset, he's upset. No, I meant to delete you. And then visitors can have a view, in theory, of the jaguar swimming under the water. In practice, it's, but you know. Alright, so what we need to do, I think, we're going to go to nature. Let's see, so the jaguar, your natural habitat is tropical, grassland, temperate, and aquatic. So what we're going to do, I think, is we're just going to go biome, tropical, grassland, South America. And we'll take aquatic on too, just to give it a little more. Because my main goal is I'd like to have this tree almost as a centerpiece of the exhibit, so your focus is into this. And you have the swimming area there. And then what we can do for this, and then what we'll do is for this glass pane, we'll just cover it in ruin pieces. Mostly because they're fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you have these ruin pieces, and then it's like, okay, well, the jaguars aren't supposed to climb on the ruins. Is it a little, I don't know, stereotypical? A little bit. And we'll continue just to use, like, temple wall ruin pieces here. But I think what we'll do is we'll blend it in here in the nature with some of these more, like, here I'm going to cut down on the dynamic rocks because they get a little chunky sometimes. We'll get some of these big old tropical rocks blended in. They get a, like, sheer wall aspect to it. We'll turn off climbing so they can't, climb it. And then what we'll do for the tops of this is we'll borrow the bush dog fence that we use, and we'll just put it over the top to discourage climbing. Now, would this work in a normal zoo? No. Mainly because you need hot wire for big cats. Hot wire being electricity running through it. It helps create a... oh, what's the word? Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to merge scenery into group, and we're going to duplicate. Because this just makes it faster. A more natural looking wall. well, where was I? Right. So in normal zoos, uh, and in a non-video game situation, zoos have to deal with the fact that jaguars can climb, and they're pretty dang good climbers. Um, which is why we'll do the fencing on the top just to kind of give that simulation of, hey, we're making sure our guests and animal safety is our number one priority. And you might be wondering, well, why don't you just use the in-game fences? Well, the in-game fences are... Oh, hydrate. Thank you. I forgot I had that on. I need to turn on sound alerts for that stuff. The in-game fences are fine, and especially for like franchise builds, I like to use them. But when we have the freedom of creativity, when I can just go... Not that button. We don't need the one with the extra long fence. There's got to be one I didn't turn into a section somewhere. There we go.
I'm hungry.
Well, Clementine, it's up to chat to feed you. That's why we have the Pando Pet Shop. Don't feel obligated to. She always says she's hungry about every 20 to 30 minutes, especially when people don't interact with her. So she's allowed to be hungry, but she's mostly just there because I thought it would be fun to have, especially for these days where we're in merge scenery in a group. Duplicate. No, I don't want advanced duplicate. I just want to duplicate. Thank you. Going about sections of 3 for custom fencing usually gives you the maneuverability you need and the length that makes sense. Like 9 times out of 10, no one's gonna notice if there's like it's okay. That I apologize. That one was goofy. I should at least try to match them up to the heights. And I will go back in and do the in-between bars for those. But it's fine. This just gives it that sense of we're taking this extra precaution steps. It doesn't have to be the nicest thing, because like 9 times out of 10 when you go to a zoo, you don't even see them, you know? You don't look at them, you're more focused in on the animal you're trying to look at. We will go back in and fix those. This is just a perceived extra layer of precaution for both staff and visitors, so that you don't have a jaguar going, I'm going to climb a 30-foot section of rock fencing and get out. Alright, so we're going to duplicate with advanced move because we're just going to literally pull this down. And we might pull the exhibit entrance back a bit. Just so it matches up a little better with this existing fencing. Just make sure that's about right. We'll get the little gaps here in a second. Oh, that's a... Alright. Duplicate and advance move. Okay, we're gonna go do the duplicate advance move because it's just a little kinder. Okay. We're gonna put this closer to the path so it still connects, but it looks a little more realistic, I guess. I guess would be the term we'd want to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to overlay this a little more accurately to this door. See what... You know what? Here, we're just going to make it simpler on us. Tropical rocks. Because there's already some, like, I didn't realize how much some of those have been levitating, creating some interesting holes. I should have, but you know, stuff happens. Okay, we're gonna try this side. And we're just hoping this won't impede. Whew. Apologies, we're zooming around a little bit. I try not to do this when I can, but sometimes when you're doing micromanaging and building of custom fences, you get here. Alright, come on, Betsy. We're no AZA zoo regulations here in this stream, but like, come on. You do gotta play with us a little bit here. Even if I gotta like advance move stuff, it happens, you know? Okay, you know what? It's not the wheel I wanted, but it's fine. You know what, we're just gonna, I think. This is one of the things when you're also thinking about playing Planet Zoo. Make sure you're sure on, because it's one of those things where you can get frustrated because, you know, something doesn't align up right, or oh hey, you've spent all this time building a flat surface and you can't get the exhibit gate flush mount with it. You know what we're gonna do? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make this easier on everybody involved. Guess what? The fence is mounted into the rock. So then people don't ask questions. And this is why sometimes I just go like, build with the rocks. Nobody will care. I care, but you know what it is. Oh yeah, no, it's one of those. I love Planet Zoo because it feels like the natural evolution of like the old Zoo Tycoons, which I do plan on streaming at some point. I'm thinking of just making it like I don't know, a birthday stream or something where it's like, yeah, we're just gonna do some good old fashioned Zoo Tycoon and hang out. But you can get really in depth with this. I like to think of myself as a fairly what's the word? Basic, a beginner. I've learned a handful of things and I know how to do several stuff. But then you look at somebody who's like, oh, hey, here, I've been working on this project for a year and a half. They turn out to be one of the most gorgeous things. You're like, how did your computer handle this? You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Just because to keep thematic tying with this side of the habitat, we'll put in a couple of little ruin pieces just for the kicks and giggles. But yeah, one of the things I kind of pride myself on so far is that everything for Viva Pantanal section hasn't been, as much as I can, a pre-build. I've custom made everything that I can, I think, in this section. And that's not to say that you have to have all of these skills and details. It's incredibly easy to just not. But I think the system wasn't... It was intimidating a bit at first when I was starting out. But I've found that as time's gone on, it's more and more intuitive the more I play it. Let's see. We'll keep it simple. People want to see are here for the animals. They don't need to see me being like, well, how do I put this building piece together? Because the goal is to have the illusion that all of the waterways for this habitat are in theory connected. Except maybe the jaguars, just because of how it's been built. But, you know. Oh, that's going to bug me. I see the holes now. I don't know how I didn't see that earlier. But you know what? It's fine. Because you do this. You slap some big old chunky boulders together. And that. Duplicate. We'll just slide on in. Okay. And now that we've gotten all this done, we're going to do one of my favorite things that I can do. Let's see. Cool. Everything climbing is disabled. Awesome sauce. So now that we have at least this back barrier done, let me see, so I think I did some pre-animal buying last time, which is why I saved over here. So let's go check the quarantine and make sure I haven't already bought a jaguar. Haven't. No, I was picking out stuff for the herbivore paddock. Let's see, do we have any good jaguars available? Hi, Gariels. We did a World Crocodile Day in diorama mode, which is always fun. Okay, so we got some bronzes and some regulars, but they're not too bad. Hey, Jen. Welcome, Judge Jen. Welcome in. Always good to see you. Just playing around some. So one of the things that I want to try to do, I think, is we're gonna go here. We're gonna change the terrain up a bit, and by a bit I mean a lot, because I was drawing for habitats in the planning phase for this. So I want this to feel lush.
ZZZZ.
Yes, Clementine, you ZZZ yourself. You and your weird choice of British tone. We're just going to do like this is a dryish riverbed, and I might lower it a little bit for spots. And we'll do the waterfall down. So we're going to get some good old trees. But the idea is that we have this more open area for our jaguars to roam around, and the enrichment items will be here for visitors. And then back here we'll build a shelter and some places to rest outside of guest view. One of the cool tips and tricks that I learned that apparently other people do is that if you want to make sure an animal doesn't cross a barrier, so these 4-meter tall reeds are usually considered impassable foliage. So you can literally sink them in the ground like this, and the animals will go, oh, there's a plant there and I can't walk. So it's great for like exhibit ones. But for the sake of what we're doing, since this is the water's edge, we're just going to give it this, you know, reedish look. Plus, it helps maintain a, you know, a reasonably speaking facade for animals. But that's more of a tip and trick you use for if you want to do like a walk-through habitat, and you don't want like the swans on somebody's on certain pathways. You like sink in like elephant grass or something like this down deep enough. Ooh, we are getting some slugging frame rates. That's not good. I know that is a random question, but absolutely, Jin. In good old-fashioned Planet Zoo Zoo Tycoon shenanigans, if the animals escape, they can and will attack people. This is usually considered bad, but it's a mechanic that does exist, I think. I've seen it in other videos, but it's... I don't remember what's modded and not modded anymore. Okay. So we're just going to plant these around the edge. No, I need this one. I like having guests around, but especially when they get stuck in clusters, I lose frame rates. This is a PC problem. That is something I'm working on. I know some people put up thrones and things to help pay for that, but I'm already working on covering it. I just needed this weekend to not be going to Indianapolis again. So, but next weekend I think I'm going to spend some time on a Saturday and go visit Micro Center and start buying parts for upgrades. Because it's like I don't play a whole lot of games, but this one, it's where it's either I need to get a brand new graphics card or I need a brand new motherboard. And at that point, if I need a new motherboard, I just need a new computer. Because you're starting over from scratch at that point. No, that's where... Not right. We're going to take the ones from here. We're going to go sync. And then we will... And I think I know where they're getting caught at. No, they're not getting caught there. They're watching the screen. Okay. We'll limit the number of guests, and see that's already fixing the frame rate as they're despawning. That's good. But yeah, I think overall this is a really good start so far to our jaguar habitat, chat. Don't know about you. Tell you what, Jen, once we get this entire zoo built, I'll save it, make a duplicate, and I'll let everything out to attack people, fire all the staff to capture animals, and we'll just let them go badonk crazy. I've seen people do, like, I kid you not, there is a video out on, I think it's on YouTube somewhere, where someone was like, I built a gladiatorial arena and let the animals fight each other, and occasionally when I get mad at guests, they fight the guests too. Okay, construction, special effects. Oh, we need to get the South America tag off. Whoopsies. This is a little big. Actually, you know what? No. I think that one was actually just about that right size. Come on, game. Don't start this with me now. We're just gonna do this. And then what we're gonna do, I think one thing that I can't change at this point, but I may have to at some point, is reduce water size, because apparently when you do these gigantic lakes and things, it can slow down frame rate. And while that's important to Viva Pantanal as it exists, I think fundamentally I'm going to try to keep them down in the future. Oh god, what's going on? I do actually plan on having wolves here at some point. Like I said, not in this section, because this is South America. But in the Little Yellowstone, I want them, I think, to be a more prominent feature. And then, like, you can have the jaguars, like, walk across, and that's a really good view for the guests. I like this. That's assuming that this doesn't start crashing on me, and I need to... It goes, you need to build a smaller zoo, and I go, okay, I'll build smaller zoos. Okay. All these. You know what? I like the blueprints, but we're going to turn the blueprints off, I think, for now. And put some tamarind trees in, I think. Ooh, and a good little strangler fig would be fun. You can get some absolutely massive trees for your tropical rainforest sections. Like these wimba trees. Yeah, they are wimba trees. But also eat your small plants. Like, I like to get some of the more aquatic plants and foliage that I do here, I think. Get these yellow ipe trees because I enjoy the yellow ipe trees. They give these like nice splashes of yellow amongst the green of some of these other plants. Okay, so we need to we're gonna get some just larger ground plants, I think, going. You know, just things to give splashes of color. Scale over bushes just to a couple of fun palms just to diversify it up a bit. And then I think what we'll do is we'll go to terrain. And for these sections, we'll just do some longer grass in between. Like, I know you can make some good looking false grass, but I think for what visitors are gonna see, this should be fine. So we're gonna do like a little ruin piece there. Merge some rubble down into it. Give it that distinctive crumbling thing. Make it feel like, well, this is the Jaguar's home. This was a temple that was also forgotten for the Jaguar. an age and a half ago. Is it a little stereotypical and not something you'd find in the Pantanal? Yeah. Is it something we're doing anyway? Absolutely. Let's see, where was that strangler fig tree? We're just doing some fun root spreads. Ugh. I'll put some foliage back here just because when you're staring from back down here, you want to have something to see. Just making sure I wasn't missing anything in chat first. I think what we'll do...
ZZZZ.
Thank you for the jump scare, Clementine. Life isn't the same until you do it. You know what we're gonna go grab? We're gonna grab this guy. Giant rhubarbs. They've been kind of a centralish theme so far to a lot of the exhibits on this part of it, so we'll just slap a couple back here. And then actually we're gonna go to habitat. We're gonna go species. Scroll all the way down to the jaguar. Hello, jaguar. Because one of the things that I forgot while designing this that could be used to help fill up some of the space is that jaguars need climbing structures. Actually, here, wait, undo. First thing we're going to do disable all climbing in this section first, and then build their climbing structures so that they only climb on their climbing structures. Let's see. We're going to stick you back here, actually. You might be wondering why I'm relocating that tree for this tree. Well, this tree is a scratching tree. So it'll be an enrichment item for our jaguars. And now you can do some really fun stuff. I don't know if allegedly the jaguars use these, but I love using these for brachiating animals like the gibbons and langurs that are available. Here, we're going to go to underwater fishing feeding flat so that there's place for fish to go. And we'll do a submarine buoy and a place where visitors can see it. And I think neither of these are terribly appropriate for a jaguar's existing environment. It's a water trough. But we'll go to enrichment items, food enrichment. And then toys. They got the scratching posts and boards and the climbing already, but we'll put in a rubber hose ball. And then for viewing it here in the back, a little price hinted sack. But we're going to go to beds and shelters so we can get an appropriate shelter for these guys. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to get this big bad boy, sink him down a bit.
Hope everyone enjoys it here. Please follow the stream.
I appreciate you advertising, Clementine. That's a new one. But there we go. And I'd say overall this is a pretty satisfactory little jaguar habitat. I don't know about you guys. Plenty for them to do, and let's see how many we can get in a habitat. Like, how many are they happy with? Up to 1 male, up to 1 female. So let's do a male and a female. Let's see what the animal market's got for us. Well, we got copper rated male and female available. So Yolodi, I think you're going to come, and Xylonin. I'm butchering those, I know that much for certain. Animal storage. There's a filter on it. We're going to send these guys to the zoo. First, we're going to send them... Oh, the quarantine's full. I didn't think about that. You know what? We've been talking about building another building here with the staff. And it makes sense with how many animals are in Viva Pantanal that we'll build another one. Quarantine. I'll build a small quarantine for this section. Okay. So they'll go off to quarantine to be checked in. Enrichment's place, this habitat is, I'd like to consider finished. Hopefully it's enough climbing structures. If not, we'll remove these 2 trees and build another smaller one over here for him. But what we will do, because I know they're going to become popular, we'll go to facilities, media, devices, and education. We'll put up some habitat board sets. Now I got donation bins already stacked around here. So that should be, I shouldn't have to put in too many new ones. I'm gonna put in a paw print station just for some extra education. But what we will need is probably a habitat sign in here. And we'll build a donation bin for guests in here as well, just because. Because the revenue is important, but also I know they get frustrated without it. And I think we're gonna go to construction over here. We're gonna go signs. We're gonna type in a Jaguar. Cut the South America theme. Align to surface. That's a small one. We can get a big one here. Okay, so what I'm doing here, these are education signs for the Beaks of Bergen, which is a zoo in Europe. That these are just, like I said, these are just some really fantastic signs, so I borrowed them off of the workshop just because it felt like it made sense, you know what I mean? So we're looking to see if we can find... see if there's a Jaguar one among them. It does not seem to be. We're looking at these lower ones because if it's less on the system, the better. But I think one of the neatest things between all of us, when it comes to the workshop teams, is that you have all of these like really cool signs. Like, see, I can do. We'll build this blueprint, and then we're going to disable climbing, duplicate, pause, and then what we're going to do is we're going to rotate here. Does this actually help with guest education? Not particularly, but you gotta admit it's a pretty damn good sign. And the Jaguar one covers our Jaguars. And then when we get rhinos and Jaguars down the road, we can use the rhinos and Jaguars down the road. You guys are... I don't want the habitat. Okay, you guys got over each other, that's fine. Let's go check out our quarantine here. And if time allows... let me see how long we've been streaming, to be honest with you. If time allows... we'll build up these little guest habitats, I think. Just for kicks and giggles. Let's see. Let's go pull that up real quick. But we will go check on these Jaguars. They've cleared. So you know what that means. I just need to see Stream Manager. Yeah, we've got plenty of time still. We've only been streaming for an hour and a half. And then I also try to name all my habitats, because like every zoo, it feels like names their habitats funky things. So this would be like Jaguar Grove. Cove. We'll do Cove, because it is like Quov. Apologies, typing errors are inherently funny. But we're going to get the Jaguars put in, and then they should be good. And then once we're sure that they've got everything they need and can get to everything, then here, and we'll be able to time them first introduction into the habitats. Lo and behold, the Jaguars. Maybe. Oh, that was a slowdown in the frame rate. Maybe I should have waited a second. But look at them. They're exploring their homes. Alright, I have all their needs set for other stuff. I just wanted to check space. But to have our king and queen of the Pantanal here. Immediately turned into a sopping wet shade. Absolutely beautiful. Now, just as a reminder, we now have active where you can name animals, and we have pretty much an entire zoo's worth of fun viewing to see. I'm curious to see how this one's going to interact with the climbing frame. I hope not going for the climbing frame. As you can see, the Jaguars do tend to enjoy their climbing frames. I'm glad to see they're fitting in really nicely. So yes, once you build up enough viewer points, which I think I set it to like 500, so should be really easy for folks if you hang out and around. You'll be able to go ahead and name yourself after an animal. We have plenty of species to choose from. Giant otters, jaguars, spectacled caimans, bush dogs, maned wolves, and American flamingos. And we have a variety of exhibit species such as green iguanas, spiders, Brazilian wandering spiders, yellow anacondas, and boa constrictors. So if you see one that catches your eye, feel free to let me know. Or if you just want to have a very loud, pretty bird in the middle yell at you, you can. Alrighty. So now we're going to get building on the last habitat. And I know for certain that I want to do it like this. So make sure we're not hovering above. Because see, that's one of those things. It's like, oh, duplicate a blueprint. If the blueprint's stuck in the ground, then it lifts it up out of the ground and you gets the holes. So we just need to sink this in. Because this habitat's not going to have any particularly big climbers in it like the Jaguar one. But this, what I want to do with this one is that it helps break up this visual background and will hide what will be essentially just a patch of forest that runs alongside here. If I'm feeling clever, which is not necessarily a no, but I might build a small habitat for everybody's favorite animal from Yellowstone behind it. You know, raccoons. Only just one of the most ubiquitous animals to exist when it comes to these sorts of things. Camping and things of that nature. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to lower this down a bit and then sink it into the habitat. And for this one, what we might actually end up doing is replacing some of these fence barriers with actual fence barriers. Because there's a couple that I do enjoy, but I just don't want them for the whole thing, you know? And then we're going to just delete this one. And delete this one. Now we want to delete this one. And you might be like, well, what are you doing that for? Doesn't that leave an opening? Well, we're going to come over here. And we're going to duplicate this. Okay, I'm going to turn off the align to surface because Lord knows I don't need that at this exact moment. I'll leave some cladding rock and then that ties that together. I think that'll come out really nice, chat. I don't know about you, but it's so far looking pretty dang good. At least I like it. And you know what? At the end of the day, I think that's just kind of what, when it comes to Planet Zoo, is you just got to find what you like. And then the better you get, the higher that standard becomes. And you're like, oh, okay. Here, we'll go to nature. Rocks. And we'll get some of these whiter cladding rocks just to break up the squareness of the mixture. But sometimes you do just put in like a little one that's like, oh, here's a little barrier, don't mind me, hee hee hee. as long as you can't see it from the path, which is the goal. There you are. See, that'll be plenty big habitat, enough for the 3 animals we're hoping to house here. And in fact, because the animal escapes are off, we might as well just go put in the ones we have and let them start running around. So we'll go back up to quarantine 1. And we're going to move all of them immediately into the herbivore highlands, as it's called. Now, in a non-freeform planet zoo, I will let you know from the bottom of my heart, this is usually not a great decision. No, I want steel mesh. And we're going to do steel mesh. Maybe not steel mesh on this one. We'll do steel mesh. Can I not replace this? Or is it because there's animals already going into it, so I can't change it? That could be it. Alright. Well, in that situation, there's not much we can do except go to fence all. So it's one of those things when you use these barrier ones, you can, in theory, put in these preset ones. They're designed for a mixture of guest and animal usage if you use these specific fencings. And so the first guys in are 2 of the capybaras, or 3 of the capybaras, and 1 of the tapirs. Now, is this the most realistic thing for a tapir to be contained in? No. But we have a fun time here. You know what I mean? And we duplicate. And when we duplicate. And there we go. That gives at least a fencing nature to this habitat. So you wouldn't normally do this for tapirs, because tapirs are technically considered large animals for zoos. They are rhino relatives, if anyone in chat wasn't aware. Tapirs' closest living relatives are rhinos, and if you're not into prehistory, you might be like, well, that's a weird thing. Because like most tapirs, with the exception of the Malaysian tapir, are located in South America, and the nearest rhino, besides Malaysia, is, you know, India, Africa, right? Those are your traditional selections. Here, that gives us at least a little bit of playroom with that. So we got a whole little pack of guys there. And as much as this tapir thinks it's going to get out this way, no, it's not. So my thought process is that we'll have capybara enrichment near the water where they're more inclined to be. Actually, you know what, here. It's a little overkill, but it's fine. But as you can see, people really like their capybaras. So we're just going to keep the same foliage tabs going. We're going to try to plant... So we don't want something absolutely ridiculous because we are worried about, mixing sight lines a little bit. We can definitely put at least like a strangler tree, couple of these in for sure. And like, that's a wild hedgerow. And then one of these here, I think would be really cool. Okay. Actually, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the jaguar off. We're going to do capybara, if I could spell. And I think over here we're going to do a little, like, a place for them to chill out while they swim. But then having a couple of enrichment items here by the water's edge. Yeah, that underwater plant feeder's not deep enough, so we won't...
How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay today, Clementine. Thank you for asking. And then, which kind of tapir are you? Bairds. And then what we'll do for the Baird's tapirs is we'll put some more stuff over here for them. And we'll do, not the Australia shelter. We did the South American shelter for the other one, so maybe we can just stick this back here. Get some bedding. And then I think what we're going to need to do here, because this is still mostly just dirt when I was outlining it, we're going to go in terrain. And we're going to put like long grass here in the back by the rocks. Then we're going to make this central area much more vibrant. Oh, this is the long grass. Sorry. Give it a much more green vibe. But we keep over here the water like soily or sandy. We'll do sandy. They can have it sandy as a treat. And then we do like a little, like where the enrichment items are, like that. I think that's really good. I'm glad I'm giving you that inspiration, Just Howell. That's one of my favorite things that I enjoy about interacting with the community and seeing other people build is that you just get to see like, oh, I never thought of to use it like this, or I never thought of putting these two species together. Like there's one that I saw that I'd love to do at some point. ZSH Plays did in their Belmont Zoo project, which is massive, by the way. Huge. Like, if you get the chance, dude's like a master builder. He's like plucked things from reality and just went, I want this here. And then just does it. I don't think I have anything currently actively on the Steam Workshop. Not from necessarily that I didn't want to, but it's just been like most of the stuff I build's really simple. You know, I don't know if people would want that kind of a thing out there. Here, we're just gonna put lots of tick seed for these guys. I think you guys would love some tick seed. I think that'd be great. ZHS Plays, he is a YouTuber on YouTube. If you go over there and search Belmont Zoo on YouTube, fantastic builder. He also goes and like films zoos in real life, which is an aspect that I would love to do sometime. I don't know how I would physically do it, but I'd love to sometime, you know what I mean? But he did a habitat because he went to a zoo in, I think it was, I think it's the one, what's the really big Dutch city whose name I'm forgetting off the top of my head. There's a zoo out there somewhere in Europe that did one of the craziest, I think, cross-species habitations that made sense, which was black rhinoceros and cheetahs. And they gave spaces for the cheetahs to get away from the black rhinos, because a black rhino is not on a cheetah's menu. They don't really consider each other predator or prey. You know what I mean? But they gave places for the cheetahs to do that, and he built it in Planet Zoo. And it worked. And I'm like, how? Still blows my mind to this day. But yes, this is a cross habitat of capybaras and tapirs. One of the things that I think I will probably do for the rest of my life when it comes to these kinds of habitats with capybaras is always put them in with something. Because there is, especially when you do like a challenge zoo mode, capybaras are some of the best animals to have around. Because you go to the capybara, and you look at the interspecies enrichment. You can put capybaras with any of these, and they get an enrichment bonus for being in the same habitat. I'm contemplating adding giant anteaters because they also have the cross feed with the capybaras and Baird's tapir, but I'd have to find one. I was also contemplating the collar peccaries because once again you get that cross. No, you don't get the cross feed with the tapirs, but the collar peccaries get some really interesting ones. And this game encourages cross habitat species mixing. But like I said, you go to the cheetah, right? A cheetah doesn't benefit from anything, and you go to a black rhinoceros here, and the black rhinoceros doesn't really benefit from sharing a habitat with other species. But if you can, so they don't get the bonus, but they don't necessarily attack or aggro on each other. And as long as you give them spaces, it makes sense. But that dude is building like a classical European city zoo with Belmont Zoo. He posts like every Sunday, and it's just fantastic stuff. Yeah, so most zoo games don't have a whole lot of mechanical benefits for it, you know what I mean? Oh, there's a black jaguar, and I forgot that they had melanistic. It's fine. We're gonna go giant anteaters. I'm not switching out the two I have. But I think what I want to do is see if I can... I wanted to see, like, habitat size-wise. I think with the capybara herd, the pack placement, and the two Baird's tapirs, this is going to be enough. I think I am going to put some scale over bushes to help make this habitat seem a little lusher, though. Feels a little bare in spots. But it's fine here. Scale over bushes. But no, this game highly encourages it and gives a, hey, if you haven't researched an animal, but you have an existing animal in a zoo, you can just put them together. Now, you can't put like an African water buffalo and a lion together, because, like, let's be real here, that's not gonna go well. But it encourages habitat experimentation. Here, I need to turn the line to surface off because I'm going to just merge some of these into the rocks, I think. And if they come, these rocks are big enough, they don't come through the other side. That gives it at least some more grown in feeling. But yeah, so it's admittedly I haven't done a whole lot of mixing in our zoo here, mostly because I know the Maine wolf has a couple of species it gets that enrichment from, but it's also a lot of these I put like crocodiles, giant otters, bush dogs, jaguars, and Maine wolves don't tend to interact well with each other since they prey upon each other. You know what I mean? Put some bromeliads there just for a little spice. And I think here in the shade of the tree, what we'll do is we'll put in some elephant ear plants just to give a little variety. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at any means. I do okay. I try to make things look naturalistic and give interesting stuff. But at the end of the day, you know what? It is what it is. Okay, so we're going to try to see if we can't get... We're going to shove you down a little bit. And that breaks up the... When you're walking down the path, like, oh, hey, here's a staff guest path. Like, you're going to see some no matter what you do, but it at least makes it look like, okay, so it's just part of the habitat. Let's go back up to those custard apple trees, see if there's some smaller ones. We'll plant like a smaller one over here. Okay, so we're going to duplicate. This is not the button I was trying to press. Oopsies. Duplicate and rotate. And then we're just going to put double signs next to each other on both ends of the habitat. We'll change them from giant otter to the appropriate animals. Baird's tapir, capybara. Baird's tapir, capybara. And then we will do facilities. We will do media devices and education. Blueprints off. We're going to make this a tour point. And we'll put a vista point marker here. We're going to put this here. Oh, no, that's on the vista point. Whoopsies. I thought that was on the railing. And with that, I think we've got all the habitats done for this section, guys. Viva Pantanal's habitats are done. We did it. Here, let me get... Oh, right. I forget they're all different groups. Hey, do you know, like, it would be nice if I could actually click the demolish button? There we... No. One of these days I'll get it. I'll build some ipe trees. Set them in the ground a little more. Use them to help break up the monotonous background. And I think we'll put one of the trees here that we use for the jaguar habitat. Is this the most realistic thing a zoo would do? Nah. Is it what we're doing? Hell yeah. And then I think we'll take some of these pampa grass pre-builds from ZHS Plays, and we'll just, you know, dot them here. Now, could I have built another habitat in this section? Yes, absolutely. Do I want to build an entire habitat in this section at this point in time? No, not really. And here's what we'll do. Now that we got a nice little patch of it, duplicate. Duplicate. Gives it color. Gives it some pop. Because gardening is important in your zoos. Because you'd be surprised how much emphasis gets put onto it when you go visit a zoo. Especially zoos that claim to have botanical gardens in with them. And we duplicate, and we're just gonna use this to patch out this spot. Well, hey guys, guess what? Well, we need to do these staff buildings. We'll do them in a second. But in terms of habitat design and everything, Viva Pantanal is done! Woo! High five, Clementine. Okay, so we're going to need to build this out. So we're going to go to my favorite plaster. My beloved plaster. Excuse me. I was just so excited. So I think we're going to go with a lighter blue here. for this building. And this way that we know whenever we look at this building, these are part of Vive Pantanal. So that when I inevitably panic at another point in time and go, which buildings are these associated with, I can just look at it and go, oh right, I coded them by architectural style. Which, so this is where it gets like, I like some of the theme sets. I wish it was a little bit built better, kind of. So these clay roof tiles are from believe the Japanese or Chinese set, but they use clay roof tiles in the Pantanal. You know, similar amount of resources, access to them, yada yada yada. And I think we're going to code this next one. Oh, that's a fun color. We're going to use that color. But this gives it a... this was a mixture that I could based on various buildings in the Pantanal. Because the Pantanal floods regularly, up to like 15 feet higher during the wet season. It is one of the world's largest conducive active wetlands, which I think is neat. So I wanted to emulate that style, and I made do with what I had. So these are painted ones. I didn't know they were painted. I may be switching here for the entirety of all of these, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. Because I like that these are painted. I just didn't realize that was an option. Triangle, plastic gable, or plaster gable. I need a wider slope. And then this one we use this color for. Get out of the color menu. And then we're going to just rotate. Move, rotate. See, and there we go. More visually interesting building. Truth be told, I'm not the most worried about that one. There we go. Like I said, Planet Zoo takes patience sometimes. To get the proper aesthetics going. And then boom, bop. And I might be like, but you did it this way with this one, you're doing it this way with this one, and I'm like, yes. Because you might as well, you know what I mean. Variety is the spice of life, and do you know how often I know roofers make mistakes like that? All the time. Name the hot dog stand. Definitely not capybara. Do I have a hot dog stand? That is the question. Let's see. So over here, I've just got, let's see, those are just those. The restaurant doesn't really have a name, I don't think. So we might do the restaurant, but we do have a series of little food stands over here. And I do have a hot dog stand. For the 1,000 bits, thank you, Zyrox. We're doing definitely not capybara. Just for you, bud. Just for you. Thank you very much for donating the bits. I think we're going to plant this up a little more too over here because this is looking a little bare on this side. Yeah, okay, hold on a second. Sorry guys, this is just the textures are messing with me. There we go. Let's see. Sometimes the textures just don't play together well. So let's see. I think if we put in a Mobu tree here, that blocks the sight line how I want it. Also helps give shade to the trail a little bit. Let's go to... So there's a gardening section I always forget exists. Until I'm like, oh hey, I need to plant stuff. So we're going to just use a couple of these. Plant some other beautiful flowers behind them. Let's see. And then when we have a mid space for South America Tropical, we go to our handy dandy horizon limiter. Scalova bushes. Which, to be fair, I've seen these in botanical gardens and stuff as space fillers. They're a very lovely looking plant. Let's see what we get. What else we can't plant. Oh, and I meant to point it out. So you see this big building over here with the fountains? This is the pool rooms. This is the bathrooms. Viva Pantanal has a proper plaza before you go in and around the trail, because I've learned, both as a person who's been to way too many zoos, I say way too many, who's been to a lot of zoos, and a person who's been to a bunch of variety of different places, always having that plaza section where a person can be like, okay, we're right next to the bathrooms, is like one of the things that happens every time I take people. And we're just going to plant tick seed, and we'll change the terrain to like a dirt, just so it's not green grass beneath. And it's not just the stark rocks. You know, just... yeah. Well, I can't believe this, chat. I didn't think we would get this far. But you know what? Oh, there's a billboard that doesn't have anything on it. I forgot to set the Jaguars. See, this is why you catch yourself. And we've got ourselves a 3.5-star zoo with a 4-star animal rating, a 1-star conservation rating, and then 5 stars literally everything else. So hell yeah. Now, to all of you watching, with this section complete for our Planet Zoo shenanigans, for Southport Zoo, who has now not only just an American flamingo roadside stop, but a proper zoo with a South America field section, we have 3 areas to work on where we can go. So over here we have a Yellowstone themed area for North American wildlife. We have what was going to be a relatively small Asian section, which could grow rather massively. And then we were going to have some variety of African area here. And then if time and file space didn't kill us, we were going to start a little barn farmyard in between the two. You know, so like the kids have a place to go check out. But what should we build for next? Because dropping literally Tuesday next week is the Asia Animal Pack, which is a really fun one. Here, let me go pull up the species list for that, just so I have it on reference. Planet Zoo Asian Animal Pack. Oh, Asia Animal Pack. Oopsies. Mistyped that. It's not for sale just yet. So what this pack will introduce is the lion-tailed macaque, which is a type of a primate. The graceful Pierre's David's deer, which is one of the most endangered deers of China. The gentle Bornean elephant, which is a small, near pygmy species of elephant. And the bold honey badger, which I was going to say for an African section, because while it is located in India, I feel like a honey badger in Africa just tends to make more sense when you think of honey badger. But we will also get the playful Japanese raccoon dog, the elegant black buck, and the powerful nilgai. Along with a new building set. So I don't want to get like building this section out a little more. But originally what I was going to have was a small Japanese theme section around here, because we're kind of close to the invisible barrier that we're set onto. So it's going to have a little Asian theme section, like a pond here for like the Japanese red-crowned crane and the Japanese macaque, but I could still do that here and then build like a Japanese build for the raccoon dog over in this section. We'll have our visitor section here and a little winding path to take us through an India's, well, it was going to be a Malaysian, but I think an Indian one would be great, with the big animal being the Indian rhinoceros, and then introducing the nilgai and the black buck would be really cool at that point. And then going into a Malaysian section, perhaps, with the Bornean orangutans, the new macaques, could be interesting. But there's a whole bunch of Malaysian animals, including another species of tapir. We could be like the cool zoo that has 2 different kinds of tapir. But we would end in the Himalayas because, well, let's see, we're going to habitat, specify, and then no habitat, and then Asia. So ignoring domesticated animals. So I was thinking and we can actually theme it into taiga for mountains. I was thinking of doing a Himalayan brown bear, or actually probably a Formosan black bear, because if we do grizzly bears on the other section, that'd be 2 brown bears, and there's no point in that. We'll do the Formosan black bears, Markhor, which are a fantastic one, but we gotta have my boy. No matter what happens, we have my boy. Takins, I will maintain, are some of the best animals around. I will fight people on that. Hands down. So we're going to build for them, and everything else is just going to be tied in around it. So it might just end up being like Takin, Red Panda, and Palace Cat for the Himalayan section. The Himalayan branch of it as you go down the path. And we may just bounce on the Malaysian section just to do an India, Japan, and the Himalayas. But that's what I'm thinking for here. Now, our North American section is going to be based on Yellowstone. So here we're going to switch that to North America. Turn off Asia. So for that one, I'm thinking we have some we do a dual exhibit with American bison and pronghorn antelope, right? We get the bighorn sheep, which was just introduced in the habitat content. I forget when you do the bond clicking, it resets your filters. But we do the bighorn sheep, American bison, and pronghorns, potentially all in the same habitat, potentially just the bighorn sheep separate. We do a little bit of black-tailed prairie dog, because I don't remember if I found out if the prairie dogs lived in Yellowstone. Let's go look up the I am going to Google the Yellowstone native animal population. Hello, nationalparkservices.gov. I appreciate you still existing. So, in terms of mammals, what I was thinking, based off of what we have, we don't have an American badger, but we do have a European badger. But I don't want to do too many proxies if it's something like different continents like that. So we'll do grizzly bears, cougars, coyotes, wolves, maybe wolverines, because wolverines are really cool. Maybe red fox. Then we do bison, bighorn sheep, pronghorn. And I wish we just, and moose, because we don't have elk / Wadapi. What I would do for just to have like an elk in game. And then I don't think there's anything in particular that this game lacks in its bird population, but I also don't think there's anything in game that fits this area. Like there's a trumpeter swan. Is the like we have a swan of some variety, right? Here we'll just reset all filters, type in swan. What kind of swan was it? Mute swan, which is an old world swan. So this would be a very mammal heavy section. And you'd think, well, maybe we could put in a small little like a amphibian of some sort just to help do it out, but we don't have the ones that are found here are boreal chorus frogs, Columbia spotted frogs, western toads, plain spadefoot toads, and western tiger salamanders. And in our wonderful world of exhibit animals, I don't know, we might have a tiger salamander, maybe not the right kind. Nope, no tiger salamanders. So it'll be a pretty big mammal themed section, which is fine. I'm alright with that. Let's see, going back, looking at the mammals that are native. Beavers are here in the area, so we could do a little beaver habitat. We don't have any rabbits in game. You know, I didn't see anything about raccoons. Huh. But we don't have any North American river otters, so no otters. But maybe, so what I'm thinking is we'll build the path from this plaza out to here. And then we have maybe just a couple, like we'd build like the coyote habitat and the American beaver habitat here. You get into the little Yellowstone Park. There's a little bit of a special viewing window for both of them in this part. And then we do like the pronghorn antelopes and the bison out here. We do the main carnivores in here, so we'll do like a wolf habitat, a grizzly bear habitat, and maybe a wolverine habitat into there. We do the bighorn sheep, then we build the moose next in between here, and that should be fine, I think. I think that'll do, chat. I think we'll get some really good things built up and running off of it. I don't remember what kind of path I used to set this up. Alright, I did the weird gravel looking one. So I think this is where we're going to start going next. Though we may take a small break from Southport Zoo to do the new DLCs. Campaign mode, just to show off the new animals. And I also think it'd be just a fun variety of things to do. Let's start here. I might be wondering, what am I doing? And the answer is, we're going to start trying to, see if this is feasible for the beavers. Because I think what I'd like to do is actually, like, here, width, do like a little viewing area up above. Or no, what we probably could do is do the upper viewing deck here and just make this an underwater viewing section. Okay, so we're going to I think build like this. And then what we'll do oh no, that's the wrong tool button. And we'll build trees and coverage to block off this section. But then we do this. And then we build along here. Now this is probably more than I was actually planning on doing. I'm going to shorten that length a bit. And we'll just quietly delete these paths for the time being. And then we will make this one of the last of the big water habitats for the zoo, I think. Just because if you're going to do beavers, you know what I mean?
ZZZZ.
I'm trying to figure out why you're obstructed. Oh, that's why. Yeah, that is a problem. Hold on. Edit barrier. Okay, let's try that again. This time without trying to flood the entire zoo. You know, that's not a good thing when you try to flood the entire zoo. And that'll be our beaver habitat here. I think that's going to look really good. And we'll do a coyote one over here. Oh, I flipped him. Supposed to do the beaver habitat over here, and this be the coyote habitat. I just got really eager. You know what? I'm not upset. It's an easy fix. You know what I mean? And then we can just keep the terrain elevation and call that good. That'll also be a really interesting looking coyote habitat, you know. But not the beavers. But it means what we could do over here, terrain stamp tool, subtract, do a cylinder, is that we can like this. I also think we're about to go make this all look a little more rustic. But it's fine. I think what we will do is quietly widen this out a little more. Quietly widen that out a little more. And then we will do path, delete path. Oh, that is way too high. But yeah, let's see. We're getting close to the popping time, so we're just doing this as a, hey, just so that I don't have to mess with it too much next time, dealio. Alright, so I'd like, one of my pet peeves about zoos is that they never seem to put these barriers where there's not a pole in the middle. So I always try to not put a pole in the middle. And since this isn't this isn't going to have like a shelter kind of a look to it, I don't think. Though we might. That's more for future me to decide than anything else. I think then we'll do some fun stuff. Now I gotta fix this terrain something fierce, but I think for the most part we got that taken care of, chat. What do you think? I think if we do some flattening the terrace, and I do flatten the foundation, we do just a little bit of molding and sculpting that way. Oh, I'm not going to do any more major water features, he says, building a species known for its major water features. But if you're going to have a beaver, you're going to have a beaver. So, that'll be good. And then what we can do is we'll do some planting, build some rock walls, and put some signs up. Because we haven't even really divvied out habitats or how big this thing is. We're just like, here's where the beaver habitat's going to go. Oh no, that's too big. There'll be coyotes. Here's where the beaver habitat's going to go. So I think what we'll do, for the time being, is we'll just replace all of these paths to be this fun log cap. I may replace them with more traditional planks as we go on, but you know. Also, like, I think I know what I want to do for this back section, but the zoo that I would want to go visit to go see it is a bit of a drive away, so I may have to go look up some research videos. But the Nashville Zoo in Tennessee is genuinely, not on top of being one of just the prettiest zoos around. You know what I mean? Has just some of the best theming apparently out there. Like, puts it as a top tier zoo in terms of zoos. Alright, so we got, so this is Coyote here. And then I think terrain wise what we'll do is we'll just paint. Here's a tip and trick when you're plotting out sections. This is, you build a section out, right? And then when you're not sure what you want to do, you could take something that's going to be easily recognizable amongst the color you do. See, that doesn't really show up with the snow. But if you do the sand, and sometimes you need to bump it up to a 2. Especially if you're going to like have to sculpt it later on anyway. E A V for beaver. I'm making that more definitely a V so I don't come back and be like, why did I put a bear here? Alright, and then we'll do next to the beaver, I think we'll do a good sized habitat. I'll make it this the moose habitat. And while moose like swimming and things, I'm probably going to keep the water down in this one more than normal. Like I said, we don't want to have too much that lags the game. And you just come in, you go M O O S E. And this is where your moose habitat's gonna be. And then over here we have a rock rough section. I usually try to leave like a strip in between when doing these rough plot outs, just because it's easier. And then we'll do it here like this. And then we'll make this side the savanna, North American savanna. But we'll come in and we'll write air in the middle. And this gets us plotted out a bit. R N. So we have bighorn, moose, beaver, and then in this one we'll write, maybe need to make it a little smaller if I can. When you get to these like smaller ones, you get like, yeah, it's, you know, it's fine. We'll just do 2. C O Y O T. And even if we do the other section, start building with the Asia Animal Pack, this is just a good way for us to go, okay, so we roughly plotted this out, you know? We'll have a big old savanna section. And here. And we'll just put bison just so we know that's there. Yeah, we got bison, bighorn, moose, beaver. Coyote doesn't really come through there, but it's fine. But I think what I want to do is we'll do a sand course. And then we'll go in small and just put guest. And we'll build like a little like log cabin viewing area / restaurant. And then we will have it overlooking the wolves. Because I think that would just be a fun one to have as an overlook. Here we'll do... Here, that's why it's at not at a 2. Wolf. And we'll come to this side and we'll put bear. And then there we go. We have this habitat section figured out. Now let's see what time-wise we're at. It's 2:58. So we're getting close to the end of stream. We got 2 of our areas at least hashed out for future expansion. I may host a poll on the social media just to see as I do more research for what I want to do for this little African stretch of the zoo, and just see where we want to build next. I'd host it right now in stream, but we're about to end, so catch me over on Blue Sky or I'll make a poll on Tumblr, but I don't know how many people on Twitch use a Tumblr. And we'll go find someone to raid real quick, because that's half the fun, right, guys? Here, let's refresh my page and see who's live versus who's not live. Yeah, we're going to close these tabs just because I don't need them open right now. If not, we'll check the Discord and see if there's anyone going on that I don't currently follow. But, you know, rating's half the fun, right? Yep, so no one. I only got 2 people online right now, both of which are doing tabletop stuff. Let's see if we can't find. We'll check the other chats real quick. Give them a raid, and then I gotta go grocery shopping. Highly exciting things, I know. Because there's usually somebody somewhere. I like giving the folks who don't have a huge amount of attention. Or we might just end, I guess. There's not a whole lot of people I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's, we should go check them out. But rating's fun, and I like doing it. Anyone still listening? Do we have a preference for Pathfinder or D&D 5e? Because that's the 2 people I follow that've got it going on. Any is good? We'll go for the smaller. I know your feelings on it. But one of them's got 1.5k viewers, one's 280. They're usually people I put on in the background anyway while I'm doing other raids or like working on other projects like the books and stuff. So let's go with the one that's at least going to make people laugh. Because it's a 280 person stream, you know what I mean? So, and it's like, do I give you guys to the 1.5k where the raid means nothing, or where like the difference between 5 to 10 people could be notable? Yes. She's all right. We're gonna go raid. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate you hanging out.
I'm hungry.
We'll be back on Thursday with the Casual Game Thursday coming up, and then maybe a surprise stream if I for the Planet Zoo DLC, depending on how that goes. Maybe showing up on Wednesday. Well, that one's just gonna be a play by ear kind of a thing. See how work's going and all that. And then we'll back up to here at Southport. Here we'll end at Southport at least on a little bit of a better view. We did just get a whole bunch of cute animals. We can at least end the stream view on like some tapirs and stuff. Alrighty, and we're gonna go raid. So thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you next time.
You do have pack tactics though. Hi Raiders.
Yeah, but to
shit's
get
fucked.
there, I'd have to use up both of my actions too.
Yeah.
So I arrive, and well, I guess since I can't do anything, I will Hunter Smirker.
Is that your turn?
Yeah, that's all I can do. 'Cause,
Kelly, end your turn.
You all walked out of my aura!
I was about to say. Oh no.
yeah, that's
Kelly,
Everybody
end
make
your
it.
turn.
Well, okay, not everybody, but both of you make a wisdom saving throw.
Kelly, end your turn. Yeah. Oh no.
yeah. No, I was
Ian, what's happening? What's happening?
Make a wisdom saving throw. Kelly and Eleanor.
Oh no, if you guys become diseased, this aura does not help you. It just says prevents you from becoming diseased. It doesn't cure disease.
Maybe.
You're in my aura.
Kelly, you have a reroll.
Oh, that's true.
You have
yeah.
a.
I'm gonna use my.
Oh,
I know
Azura gets a 20, and Dawn gets a.
Azura is not in the aura.
But it's within 10 feet, so
It's 10 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Debatable. Yeah, it is within
look.
everybody within. It's an emanation, so 10 feet.
God damn it! I just wasted our turn.
It was a good attempt. It was a good attempt. Like what happened?
Passive.
She expels a cloud of mind control spores, and nothing happens because you succeeded. So you're immune to it now.
5 to 6 recharge. Holy shit! This is literally a cleric check. This is a cleric check if you don't make your save. That's it.
Man, I'm glad I'm here and about to die.
Infected with a
Fine.
disease called the influenza
No,
Zugutmoi.
That's her
Oh,
turn.
Okay. Huh.
It was worth it.
And they will dash back to Zagami. Owl.